What does it even feel like being the backup lover for several beautiful women at the same time? People say quantitative change becomes qualitative change, and honestly, they might be right. If being one woman's backup hurts, then doesn't becoming the backup of 100 almost flip the whole equation? At some point, doesn't that make them my backups instead? Anyway, before things spiral that far, I was just a spare tire for 3 women. The first was my childhood sweetheart, the girl I grew up with, the girl I thought destiny had reserved for me, except her heart never really left her first love. The second was a singer, stunning, talented. I spent an entire year simping for her, thinking my devotion meant something. Then she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You don't seriously think I'd marry a broke guy like you, right?" And the third? My boss. Cold, perfect, untouchable. She warned me straight up, "Don't get any ideas. I'll only marry a man stronger than me." So yeah, that was my life. Until one day, my mom told me to go on a blind date. Then suddenly, chaos. My childhood sweetheart showed up clutching our household registration book like she'd already decided. The singer came crying, saying she couldn't live without me. And my boss wore a wedding dress and demanded I take responsibility. Wait, hold on. Didn't we all agree this was just casual? My mom called, nagging as usual, telling me to show up for that blind date. I brushed her off. Yeah, I get it. Just send me the time and place. Right as I hung up, Sophia stepped out of the bathroom, beige knit top, sleeves rolled up, carrying freshly washed laundry like it was the most natural thing in the world. She walked across the living room, sunlight catching on her hair, and headed to the balcony to hang the clothes. "Who was that on the phone?" she asked gently. "My mom." I sighed. The afternoon light wrapped around her as she arranged the clothes under the sun, her amber eyes glowing warm like autumn leaves. "I'm meeting my best friend tonight," she said softly. "I won't be home for dinner. I made fish and vegetables. The fish is still warm in the pot. Just microwave the veggies, okay?" She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, smiled at me like I was someone she cared about. "And don't order takeout." "Got it," I muttered as she grabbed a bag and headed out. But I knew. Her first love had just returned to the country today. I live with Sophia. She's gentle, considerate, almost too good to be true. I barely have to do anything around the house. But the problem is, she's not my girlfriend. She's just waiting for Makoto to come back. And me? I'm the spare, the safety net, the backup plan. It wasn't always like this. I blame those so-called inspirational romance novels for men. Those stories where the quiet, average guy wins a girl after years of silent devotion. And I thought, that's me and Sophia. Childhood friends, growing up side by side. She was bright and beautiful, and somehow she always stayed close to me. I was plain, average looks, average grades, average everything. But she walked home with me, studied with me, even brought me pastry she baked herself. "Eat it all," she'd say, and my heart would melt. So I tried harder, remembering everything she liked, bringing her breakfast, buying her small gifts, sending her little red envelopes on holidays. Until graduation night. She walked into the classroom with a pink envelope, cheeks flushed, moving like a girl about to confess her first love. The whole class quieted. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear. She stepped in front of me, shy, lips trembling. I knew. I thought I knew. I stood up and shouted, I low, but the universe wasn't done humiliating me. She turned to my desk mate. "I love you, Makoto." The room froze. Everyone stared at me. My face burned. I lost my pencil. I blurted out, scrambling to cover my embarrassment. I'm going to the bathroom." I bolted. When I returned, I peeked through the door. Makoto, the rich, handsome golden boy, stood on the stage with my childhood sweetheart. The crowd chanted, "Kiss, kiss." He leaned down, gentle and careful. "Can I, Sophia?" She nodded, blushing. I didn't stay to watch. "George, brother," she said softly. And then, with those big, pitiful eyes, she added the line that shattered me. "I've always seen you as my brother." Brother? Please. What kind of sister leans in so close while doing homework that your foreheads nearly touch? What kind of sister smiles like that, acts like that, send your heart spiraling like that? Shameless, pretending, delicate little coquette. But I'd always been good at smiling through humiliation, parentheses, not because I was mature, but because I was terrified of losing face. So I forced a grin and said the stupidest line imaginable. Ha ha, it's fine. I've always seen you as my little sister too. Your brother wishes you happiness. Sophia looked at me with those doe-like eyes, wide, innocent, shimmering like honey in the sun. Then, don't be mad at me, okay? Don't ignore me, she whispered. I said, okay. And the next day, I applied to a university as far away from her as legally possible. Goodbye, forever. I didn't talk to Sophia for 4 years, at least not from my side. She still replied instantly to every message. Mine always took hours, days, sometimes never. One day, she said she was going on vacation and wanted to stop by my city. My roommate and I immediately fled home like fugitives. Then, during my first year of work, she texted again. She'd been transferred to a company here. Back then, I was a wreck. New job, no sleep, zero confidence. Office politics hit me like a truck, and overtime turned me into a barely functioning corporate corpse. So when I opened my apartment door and saw Sophia standing there, I almost didn't recognize myself. I hadn't slept in 2 nights. The apartment was a battlefield, clothes everywhere, dishes unwashed, takeout boxes piled like a memorial to bad life choices. She, on the other hand, looked perfect. Makeup flawless, outfit elegant, a bag of fresh fruits and vegetables in her hand. Her eyes softened when she saw my dark circles. Then she smiled, that same gentle, familiar smile from our childhood. I knew you'd never take proper care of yourself. You big oaf. She glanced around the disaster zone and scolded. Look at this place. No girlfriend and your home's already a mess. What are you doing here? I snapped, more exhausted than angry. She just breezed past me, moving into the apartment like she'd lived there for years. She went straight to the kitchen, washing vegetables, boiling water, as if she were picking up a routine she'd never dropped. I didn't ask you to come in, I muttered, following her. She waved me off. Out. Go. Sit. By the time I realized what was happening, she'd already rolled up her sleeves, washing dishes, wiping counters, straightening the chaos of my bedroom, organizing books I hadn't touched since moving in. 4 hours later, I sat in a spotless living room, sunlight warming my shoulders. My apartment, my sad, tragic apartment, looked brand new. On the table in front of me, a bowl of steaming noodles she'd made. And across the room, Sophia mopped the floor, an apron tied around her waist, sweat glistening at her temples. She looked almost unreal. What's your deal? I asked, squinting at her. She tilted her head and hummed playfully. What? Can't I come? Not happy to see me? I rubbed my forehead. I'm just worried your boyfriend's gonna show up and beat me senseless. Don't drag me into your drama. She froze for a second, just a second. Then her voice softened. Makoto and I broke up a long time ago. He went abroad for college. I lowered my head and quietly kept eating my noodles. At the time, I was already serving as Freya's backup plan. But like they say, quantitative change leads to qualitative change. Being one woman spare makes you pathetic. Being 2 women spare? Well, doesn't that make them my backups, too? After Sophia and I patched things up, we rented a big apartment together. Separate rooms, obviously. But now that her first love was back in town, I wasn't planning to renew the lease. No point staying in a place too big, too empty, too full of memories that weren't mine. So I packed a few things and decided to go see Freya. She was local. She could help me find a new place. I punched in the door code and stepped into Freya's apartment. The lock clicked open, and there she was, just stepping out of the bathroom. A towel wrapped loosely around her, cheeks flushed from the steam, water droplets sliding down her hair and tracing the line of her collarbone. She looked up, eyes half-lidded, a relaxed smile playing at her lips, opened the fridge and handed me a cold beer like this was the most normal moment of our lives. I stared, her long, pale legs, smooth and flawless, glistening from the shower, took a gulp of beer to steady myself. Aren't you afraid I might be a bad guy? I asked. She chuckled, voice sweet and teasing. You're the only one who knows my door code. I swallowed. Remembering why I came, I started. I came to, but she cut me off with a smile. Perfect timing. The next second, she slipped into my arms, effortlessly, like she'd done it 1,000 times in some alternate universe where we were allowed to be this close. A faint trace of body wash lingered in the air, warm and soft against the back of my mind. Her skin radiated heat, and even the droplets sliding down her neck felt like sparks against mine. I just finished showering, she murmured, looking up at me. Her eyes were hazy, unfocused in that deliberate, magnetic way of haze. And then she whispered, voice low, velvety, drawing the air right out of my lungs. Her words drifted, hanging between us like temptation itself. Especially clean. Hours later, exhaustion pulled me under like a tide. When I finally woke, the sky had already darkened, and every muscle in my body protested. Yeah, figures. Every time I came to see Freya, no matter what excuse I used, it always spiraled into something neither of us planned, yet both of us always let happen. Instinct pushed me toward the balcony. She stood there, a slender silhouette framed by fading daylight. A cigarette rested between her fingers, or so I thought. The soft glow of dust painted her profile in quiet melancholy, the kind that made her look untouchably beautiful. That was her curse, and everyone else's. Freya wasn't the type you could walk away from unscathed. Even knowing every red flag, every flaw, looking at her face still made something in your chest soften, like pity or affection or something more dangerous. I leaned against the doorframe. Smoking again. She toned, peach-shaped eyes lifting, eyes that always looked like they were holding a secret. She pulled something from her lips. A lollipop. It tapped lightly against her mouth as she smiled. Nope, she said. I'm quitting. Candy helps. I raised a brow. Since when? I'd known Freya 6 years. She'd always been wild. Tattoos, nightlife, trouble trailing behind her like perfume. But now, the tattoos were gone. The parties stopped. And the cigarettes? Apparently replaced by strawberry lollipops. She rested her chin in one hand, watching me carefully. I want to settle down, she said softly. Leave the old me behind. Something flickered beneath her words. A quiet searching, maybe even a hope that someone would stay and anchor her. I kept my mouth shut. Anything I said would only complicate things. She tiptoed up, pressed a small kiss to my lips, and walked back inside. Her neck still held faint red marks. Mine. My boyfriend coming to pick me up later, she said over her shoulder. Don't come out. Seriously. I asked. This time, she whispered, I think it's real. Freya had once been the lead singer of a band, not famous, but famous enough. Beautiful in a way that felt almost dangerous. Soft eyes, sharper instincts. The kind of girl who could ruin you without meaning to, just by smiling. Back in sophomore year, after everything that happened with Sophia, I wanted nothing to do with romance. Then Freya walked into my life like a boss-level NPC sent to remind me I had no emotional armor. I never stood a chance. She flirted with precision, like she could read every weak point in a man's soul. Within a month, I was orbiting her life like a moon, picking her up at night, working part-time just to buy her gifts, convincing myself we were something real. I didn't notice the way people looked at me, pity or amusement. I'm still not sure. Then came the night everything changed. Freya had gone drinking. Her best friend called with a teasing laugh. Brother-in-law, she's drunk and keeps calling your name. I rushed there without thinking. When I arrived, Freya stumbled into my arms, burying her face into my neck. Her voice was low, soft, filled with a sweetness that melted every thought in my head. She whispered my name again and again, until I was dizzy with it. By the time I brought her home, we were both caught in a moment that felt bigger than logic. One kiss turned into another. The room blurred, and everything else faded to black. When morning came, reality hit like a sobering wave. Seeing the tears in her eyes, guilt tangled in my chest. So I said the only thing I thought a good man was supposed to say. Freya, I'll take responsibility for you. But she blinked, then burst into laughter. Before I could react, She handed me her phone. Messages were popping up one after another. Different names, different contacts, different conversations. A whole world I had never been part of. They were the kinds of messages no man ever wants to read. Baby, weren't you at the bar tonight? Can we meet up? Name your price. Each one hit me like a punch to the gut. Freya, please reply to me. Then another, I really like you. The moment I snapped back to reality, I started scrolling. Red notifications kept lighting up her WeChat like a wildfire. Transfers, messages, more transfers. My fingers trembled. Freya was lying there beside me, half covered by a thin blanket, the last traces of the night still warm on her skin. She looked over with a soft, laser smile blooming across her face. Delicate, effortless, dangerous. Just tap one of my moments, she murmured. So I opened her chat history. A pile of unanswered messages. Then her moments, a parade of luxury cars, mansions, wealthy heirs showing off their bloodline money. A world she knew far too well. Before I could process any of it, she plucked the phone straight from my hand. You see, she said casually, plenty of men chase me. I don't need you to be responsible for anything. Then, like twisting the knife, she added, besides, you couldn't afford me. She laughed, light, airy, cruel. That night I made a bet with my girlfriends. And well, you surprised me. Physically impressive. I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Should I thank you? I muttered. She just smirked. You got off cheap. Others would have paid. Something inside me snapped. Smack. They say men don't cry easily, but my tears spilled before I even felt them. I pushed myself up, shaking. Freya turned her face away, a slow blush rising on her cheek. She pressed her lips together, then looked at me, eyes soft, almost pleading. I'm a woman, she whispered. I want to be spoiled, protected. What's wrong with that? I dressed without answering, walked out the door. Behind me she called, half teasing, half serious. There's still time. Won't you come back? I didn't, and she let the silence close between us. Later, I regretted it. That night I should have grabbed a bedside lamp and cracked it over her head twice. Why did I only slap her once? That was the day my inner pure love war god died, crushed by a woman with no mercy. Wounded and hollow, I locked my heart away and buried myself in schoolwork. Junior year was a battlefield. Pressure, deadlines, hair falling out from anxiety. I felt like I was suffocating. Then one night, stuck on a problem I couldn't solve, my phone lit up. Freya. Her voice was low, slow, soaked in alcohol. George, I miss you. Rage roared back to life. I took a cab straight to her place, not to talk, but to slap her again. When she opened the door, leaning against the wall like a scene out of a forbidden movie, her eyes shimmered. Sly, fox-like, dangerous. I froze. She smiled, lips curving in a slow tease. You came, Tilda, shameless. I shoved her onto the couch and slapped her hard. Her head whipped to the side. She cupped her cheek, eyes trembling and wet. You still don't know how to be gentle with a woman, she whispered. I sneered. You vile woman. But she only smirked, unbothered, fearless. And that was it. I grabbed her by the neck, and the anger took over. Rough, reckless, unrestrained. She gasped, whimpered, refused to yield. By the end, her peach blossom eyes were red and swollen, tears streaking down her cheeks. George, brother, please, she begged. And just like that, every ounce of pressure inside me disappeared. When morning came, she looked exactly like she always did, sprawled out, smiling lazily, satisfied. Let's stay friends. Okay, Tilda, my anger was gone. She didn't seem so disgusting anymore. Get out, I said, standing to leave. She tilted her head. Don't you want another round? Sure. And that's how it started, a silent agreement, a shameful arrangement. I had only one rule, a health check every 2 weeks. Freya ruined every illusion I'd ever had about beautiful women. The simp in me died. We did everything, and she was up for anything. Beautiful, experienced, fearless, and best of all, free. But outside the bedroom, she was a different person entirely. Wild, untamed, Chaos disguised as a woman. I always thought she'd stay that way forever. I never imagined she'd start looking for a good guy to settle down with, and I pitied whoever that honest man would be. A soft voice drifted from the living room, pulling me back to the present. That must have been the boyfriend she mentioned. His tone was warm, steady, the kind of voice that settles into your bones. And with just a few gentle sentences, he made Freya laugh. I cracked the door open, just a little. From the narrow gap in the door, I caught a glimpse of him, sharp jawline, clean-cut, expensive scent clinging to the air around him. Even the gifts he brought looked pricey. Of course, I thought, no wonder. I lay there scrolling on my phone for almost an hour while they talked, laughed, lingered. When they finally walked to the doorway, they didn't even part right away, just stood there flirting for 20 whole minutes before he finally stepped out. The moment the door clicked shut, I came out of my room. Freya still wore that soft, dreamy smile, a kind of tenderness I had never seen on her face. And right then, I couldn't bring myself to say a word about the apartment. Maybe it was time. Maybe this was the clean break we both needed. I don't think we should see each other again, I said quietly. Freya froze mid-smile. For a few seconds she just stared at me, then the familiar smirk slid back into place. That trick won't work on me, she said, half laughing, thinking I was jealous, playing hard to get, but I'd long stopped believing in romance. I wasn't a teenage boy lost in daydreams anymore. I'm serious, I said. She watched me for a moment, then brushed past me, poured herself some water, and answered flatly, "It's not like what we had was worth keeping anyway." I nodded. "Then I'll go." She didn't respond. I put on my coat and left. Just as the door shut behind me, I heard something crash inside. Glass. Breaking. It was late by the time I got home. I reheated the food Sophia had left and ate in silence. Played a few rounds of games. Killed time. But night kept dragging on, and she still hadn't returned. I thought about texting her, asking where she was. But I stopped myself. Sophia and Makoto had gotten back together. They were probably somewhere rediscovering whatever they used to have. It wasn't my place. Sophia had always been loyal to Makoto, even after we started living together. Just one man and one woman under the same roof. There were moments we drifted dangerously close. Moments where everything almost tipped over the edge. But every time, at the very last second, she'd push me away gently and whisper, "You can take care of it yourself." Call her a tease, call her cold, but she had boundaries. And she could cook. There was something steady and warm about that. I wandered around the apartment, mentally mapping out how I'd move out. Then I started packing. Awkward at first, but soon I found a rhythm. Folding, sorting, sealing boxes. The organizing part, that was all Sophia. She loved chores, and when I offered to help, she'd shake her head, saying, "You're old thumbs. Leave it to me." But I insisted. I want to learn. And she taught me, patient, gentle. It felt good to be cared for, but I didn't want to be dead weight. When I woke the next morning, Sophia still wasn't home. No breakfast waiting in the pot either. I changed quickly and went downstairs to buy some steamed buns. On my way out, I noticed something small. Her shoes at the entryway had changed. So she had come home late last night. I checked my phone. A message from Sophia. "George, my best friend's feeling down. I'm going to stay with her for a few days. Don't forget to water the balcony flowers. And stop ordering takeout all the time. Okay?" I replied with a simple, "Okay," as I walked. I scrolled through WeChat moments and saw Makoto's post from the night before. Men think a succubus is a woman in black stockings. But the real enchantress is the one who asks, "Do you have a Coke?" The one who understands your exhaustion, your struggles, who lifts you when you're down and celebrates you when you rise. A warm harbor, steady and calm. Below it he'd commented, "Nothing serious. Just needed a break after a stressful few weeks." Didn't expect her to take leave and come home with me. I took a bite of my bun, and like the post, I went to work carrying the weight of the world, yet somehow slacking off like a man who'd mastered the art of pretending. In the break room, the women were buzzing. "Did you see the handsome guy who went into Willow's office today?" I ran into him downstairs. He was driving a Maybach. I walked in. still half asleep, and someone immediately handed me a cup of coffee. "George, I made this for you, Tilda." That sing-song voice floated toward me as a cup of coffee slid into my hands. Maybe I'd finally reached veteran status in the office, the phase where Junays brought you drinks like offerings. I smiled, thanked her, and before I could take a sip she leaned in and whispered, "Did you see the guy who came to see Willow today?" I heard his air of Shinyuan Tech. I blinked, caught off guard. Yeah, that actually made sense. The vibe between them had been almost too perfect. "Sounds like a great match," I muttered, only half paying attention. "George!" That cold voice snapped through the air like a blade. All the gossip died instantly. I turned around. Willow stood there, tall, composed, carved out of frost. Her waist narrow, her legs long, her suit simple, but on her it looked impossibly elegant, like she'd stepped out of a magazine spread. For a second, I felt guilty without even knowing why. She looked away, her voice calm and distant. "Marketing department meeting in 30 minutes. I nodded quickly. She toned, and the chill she left behind stayed hanging in the room long after she walked away. Willow, my boss, the Ice Queen, untouchable, unshakable, one of those leaders who could silence a room without saying a word. No one walked out of her office looking relieved. Not ever. But the company benefits were too good to even think about quitting. Rumor had it she had a softer side beneath that cold exterior, that she actually cared about her team. But to me, she was just intimidating. She reminded me of my middle school homeroom teacher, terrifying during the day, yet always invited me over for dinner when my parents were out of town. A woman who yelled like a drill sergeant but cooked like someone's warm, gentle aunt. Everything with Willow started during my second year at work. I'd blown the grad school recommendation interview and slipped quietly into the workplace. The first year had chewed me up, but by the second year, I'd become smooth, like noodles sliding in a hot pot, promotions coming one after another. Sophia kept my life steady. Freya made sure I ate. Everything felt comfortable. And when a person is content, he's happy. My entanglement with Willow Liu wasn't planned. Someone else was supposed to go on a business trip, but a family emergency pulled him out. I filled in the disposable backup. I did the usual assistant work, flattering the boss, flattering the client, pouring drinks, taking notes, running errands. But Willow had one weakness, alcohol. And that night, after only one drink, she collapsed. I practically carried her back to her room, sweating like crazy. I'd just ordered hangover medicine when I turned around and found her in the bathtub. President Liu. I scrambled toward her. She wasn't even aware of what she was doing. She fumbled with her blouse, unbuttoning it slowly, clumsily, like a child figuring out a puzzle. Every time I buttoned one, she undid two. When she finally got frustrated, she ripped the rest open. Buttons flew. I just stood there, stunned, brain short-circuiting. She looked up at me, eyes hazy, shimmering. "Hot," she murmured, tossing her clothes aside. I tried to cover her. "Let me turn down the ALC. Willow, put these on." But she pushed the clothes away again. And when I turned back, even her camisole had disappeared. "Wow, so white," I blurted, then panicked. I mean, the bathtub. The bathtub is so white. If I didn't help her, I was convinced tomorrow's headlines would read, "Female executive tragically drowns in hotel bathtub." I rushed forward. "Come on, let's get you to bed. The hangover soup is coming. You'll get cold out here." She looped an arm around my neck and pulled me in, kissing me. Soft, warm, sudden, like she just wanted me to shut up. She reached behind her and turned on the faucet. Warm water poured in. I reached to turn it off. She bit my lip, irritated. Could I take that? No. I bit back. She gasped, and instinct, pure, reckless instinct, took over. I pressed forward, taking the lead, taking control. When it finally ended, Willow's lips were swollen, wet, her usually icy phoenix eyes shimmering with heat and something dangerously close to hunger. A rational man would have stopped, walked away. But I wasn't rational, and I definitely wasn't a gentleman. I leaned back in and kissed her again. I slept until late morning. Felt like I'd been in a 12-round fight. When I finally woke, I heard water pounding from a bathroom. I sat up, massaging my forehead, reaching blindly for my phone. The water shut off. Willow stepped out, wrapped in a robe, the belt tied snug around her waist. Too bad the robe dipped low in front, revealing just enough to be dangerous. I felt my pulse jump, and the story was just beginning. She looked at me with that cold, unreadable face and asked, "Awake?" No anger, no embarrassment, just nothing. I answered like some scolded schoolboy. "M.M." She sat down in the single armchair, crossed her legs, and picked up a phone. "George," she said, as if delivering a quarterly report. "You're competent at work. Stable. Reliable. I assumed you were safe." A polite way of saying I looked too plain to be a threat. Her fingers tapped the screen. Light, rapid. My phone buzzed. I glanced down. A transfer notification. A big one. My eyes nearly popped out. "Mistakes made under alcohol," she said calmly. "We're adults. I don't want complications." I nodded so fast I looked like I was bowing. If it's a mistake, then it should be corrected. Willow looked up, expression flat. "At the company, we're just boss and subordinate." She paused, that kind of pause that makes your spine straighten. Privately, she added, "A physical relationship. Very pure." I stared at her, stunned. Then, without warning, she stood and slid off her robe. Smooth, effortless, not even a flicker of shyness. She didn't turn away, didn't even pretend. "George," she said, looking down at me with a cold, distant disdain, "don't get any improper ideas about me." Her voice was ice against steel. "I admire strength. I only like men more impressive than I am. I have zero interest in weaklings, all losers." She left right after. And me? I collapsed back onto the bed, still high off the number I'd seen on my phone screen. As for everything she just said, my brain had filtered it out like background noise. It was my first time being kept. I had no experience. But Willow, she was easy enough to satisfy. Cold drinks in summer, hot ginger tea during her period, show up whenever she called. That was it. Her needs were simple. Her emotional investment, non-existent. When we were done, she'd tell me to get lost. Didn't matter if I was tired, starving, or about to pass out. That rhythm lasted half a year, and I played my part diligently, almost professionally. Then came her birthday. I had no idea what to do, so like an idiot, I went online to ask strangers for advice. The comment section was full of lunatics. After hours of scrolling, I settled on a custom-designed bracelet commissioned from a big-name designer. Expensive, time-consuming, thoughtful. I sighed at myself. Even while being kept, I was still this damn devoted. On her birthday morning, trying to look presentable, I handed her a small jewelry box after my report. "Willow," I said softly, "happy birthday." Her eyes flicked to the box. No smile, no warmth, just neutrality. "Thank you," she said, but she didn't take it. "George," she continued, voice cold enough to crystallize air, "I believe I told you our relationship will not progress. Instead of wasting time on things that won't matter, you should focus on work. Don't cross the line." That was the message. I bowed my head. Understood. Then this? I motioned awkwardly to the box. "Leave it." I stepped out, cursing her in my head. Hard woman to please. If you didn't take things seriously, she was offended. Take them too seriously, still offended. Flattering people was apparently an art I had not mastered. I don't know if Willow did it on purpose, but that day's workload was brutal. I stayed late, long after everyone had gone. As I finally left, I ran into Aunt Lee, the janitor. She looked strangely cheerful, holding a small box that made my stomach twist. "Hey, Aunt Lee," I called. She stopped, the box in her hand, unmistakable. The one I'd left on Willow's desk that morning. "That," I began. We'd chatted plenty of times before. She didn't avoid the question. "Oh, this," she grinned. "Someone gave it to me. Well, actually, I found it in the trash while cleaning." My chest tightened. She opened the box, eyes lighting up. My goodness, it's brand new. I thought maybe someone dropped it. I went to ask President Liu, and she said, "What was it?" "Oh," she said, "it's just trash." Told me to handle it however I want. I froze. It hit harder than a slap. Aunt Lee continued happily, lifting the bracelet into the light. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" "Yeah," I said softly, forcing a smile. "Looks pricey." She nodded, thrilled. "Exactly. Rich people." "Huh?" "Go home soon. Aunt Lee," I said gently. "Looks like it might rain." She smiled and waved, walking off with the kind of lightness people only have when luck falls into their hands. I watched her disappear down the hallway. Then I turned, stepped into the elevator, and let the doors slide shut. The elevator doors slid shut, catching the tight, fake smile on my face like a snapshot of defeat. Inside, though, I was boiling. She could have at least told me she tossed a gift. I would have picked it out of the trash myself. A whole month's salary, gone, just like that. Money didn't grow on trees, and in that moment I swore I'd get every last cent back from her. So when my birthday rolled around, I sent her a link, a simple message. Willow responded with a single question mark, as if the 2 million yuan car I sent her was somehow confusing. Maybe she thought I was being greedy? I started typing a clarification, something like, "Ha ha, no, I was just asking if you want me to rent." Before I could finish, a notification popped up. A transfer, worth 10 times the price of the car. Her message followed a heartbeat later. "Buy a few more. Rotate them when you drive." For a moment I just stayed, stunned. Then instinct kicked in. I thanked my golden patron and accepted the money. Being someone's backup turned out better than I'd ever imagined. At work, even when colleagues tried to trip me up, I could smile, glide past, greet them like nothing bothered me. Sure, it was humiliating. But even a backup king like me had Willow, the golden goose, Freya, the soft landing, and Sophia, the foot-soothing angel. For now, that felt like enough. When Sophia and Freya both drifted out of my life, I felt a small, hollow emptiness, not enough to break me, but enough to notice. The only one I truly didn't want to lose was Willow. Money had always been my real love, and the thought of that income stream disappearing felt like someone slowly twisting a knife. After a meeting, a colleague wandered over to chat. I carried my files out of the room, not realizing Willow was still sitting at the head of the table, flipping through documents with that usual unreadable calm. Back at my desk, I reached for my pocket. Empty. My phone was gone. I retraced my steps back to the conference room. Willow was alone now. "President Liu," I said. She didn't even look up. Laughing awkwardly, I said, "Seems I left my phone here," but the table was spotless. I checked the floor, the chair. Nothing. Must have left it in my office, I muttered, trying to laugh it off as I turned to leave. "It's Hay." Her voice cut clean through the air. She tapped the table with one manicured finger. My phone sat right there. Her gaze, cold as ever, pinned me in place. I picked it up, ready to bolt, but she stopped me again. "Do you think I'm some gullible little girl? This trick is pathetic." I blinked. "What?" Then I saw it. 2 messages flashing on the lock screen. My blind date. Then let's meet Saturday at 10 a.m. Forest Cafe. Willow's voice dropped several degrees. "I used to think you were pragmatic. That was your one redeeming quality. Now, even that's gone." She paused. "George, there's nothing between us anymore. This is the end." "Okay," I said. "Simple, clean, final." She froze, just for a second, something soft flickering through a cold exterior, almost vulnerable. "I'll get back to work," I added. She said nothing. I turned and walked out. One clean cut. One move to end it all 3 of them. Chapter 30 after work. To everyone's shock, Willow stepped into the employee elevator. The cramped little space felt even tighter with her presence. A cold queen dropped into a crowd of stunned peasants. I stood beside her, staring at the glowing floor numbers. Then she spoke, her voice slicing through the silence. "Take me home today." Gasps shot through the elevator behind us. I kept staring forward, pretending I didn't hear. "George." Sharper this time. "He?" "President Liu. Were you talking to me? I didn't drive today, she said coolly. You'll take me home. I nodded. Sure thing. Bus. Another ripple of whispers. Willow glanced sideways. For the first time in days, the corner of her mouth almost hinted at amusement. Chapter 31. I walked straight to the car. She stayed outside for a second, bit her lip, waiting for me to open the door. I didn't. Eventually, she opened it herself and slid into the passenger seat. I buckled up and caught her staring at me. President Liu, what are you looking at? Put on your seatbelt. She let out a tiny huff. Nothing. Then she clicked the belt shut, turning her face away. The silence in the car was thick. Every now and then she sneaked a glance at me, but I kept my eyes on the road, playing dumb. As we neared her building, she finally broke. Why did you agree so easily? Then, realizing her tone, she added quickly, I was just curious. I said, almost casually, weren't you the one who didn't want to continue? Her expression soured instantly. I was just testing you, she muttered, the words fading into a frustrated grumble. I thought you'd be like everyone else, at least not so indifferent. I blinked, confused. Wait, how many people are you testing at once? Willow froze. A flush of red crept up her cheeks. Rare, shocking, almost adorable. What are you talking about? Of course I'm not. Then softer, almost swallowed by the moment. I don't have anyone else. It's only you. She looked away, embarrassed. My girlfriend said when they break up with their boyfriends, those guys try to fix things, beg to stay together. Nope, my pride wasn't on discount. I said, that's because they still have feelings. Her eyes lifted to mine. And you? Do you have no feeling for me? No, I said plainly. Never had any. And deep inside, I knew it was true. Whatever heart I'd once had, I'd locked away long ago. If anything still stirred in me, it was for money. Only money. The car rolled to a stop on the side of the road, but Willow didn't move. Instead, she stared at me, disbelief swirling in those usually frosty eyes. You don't love me, she accused. I frowned. Why should I love you? She froze as if struck, then stammered. But why do you make ginger tea for me when I'm unwell? Why do you comfort me when I'm upset? Why do you put effort into my gifts? Because you paid for it. It's called professional ethics. She wasn't done. Then why, she pressed, her voice trembling just enough to betray something real, why do you cling to me afterward, refusing to leave? Because I'm tired. Lady, even a mule needs a break. Anger flared in me for a moment, then vanished. She was still my boss after all. You're angry, she said suddenly, the corners of her mouth lifting. Because I hit the mark. There was no winning with this woman. I sighed. Yes. And then, out of sheer exhaustion, I started talking nonsense. Right. I love you. Her face softened instantly, blooming into triumph. I knew it, she said. Then I can forgive you. Just this once. She straightened again, reclaiming her lofty throne. From now on, she warned, don't try to manipulate me. Then, almost offhandedly, and also, I'm free this weekend. No, I said immediately. She blinked. What? I shook my head, thinking of all those over-the-top TV dramas where heartbroken men stab themselves to prove their sincerity. So I kept rambling, serious as a monk giving last rites. I can't love you anymore, I said. Her eyes widened. Why? I lowered my gaze, wearing the expression of a tragic hero. Because love is letting go, blessing the other person's happiness. Willow, you're extraordinary. You deserve someone worthy of you. I exhaled like my soul was leaving my body. There's no future for us. I can't hold you back. Then, with full dramatic flourish, mortals and gods walked different paths. Our ending was written long ago. Willow stared at me, stunned. George, she whispered. I gave her the most heartbroken smile I could muster. I just hope we both find happiness. Whether Willow found happiness or not, I had no clue. But when I got back to my apartment complex and saw the wolf-tooth potato vendor still open downstairs, I bought a serving, Ate it while climbing the stairs, and honestly, I felt pretty damn happy myself. Over the next few days, I packed up everything in the apartment. Anything unnecessary went straight into the trash. One clean sweep. I signed a lease, moved out, left the keys behind without a second thought. Just as I stepped outside the old building, a message popped up from Sophia. My best friend's in a bad mood. I might need a few more days before I come back. George, should we hire someone to cook for you? Be honest. You've been living off takeout again, haven't you? I replied, no need. I moved out. And that best friend you're comforting, that wouldn't be Makoto, right? Your male best friend? If you two are getting back together, remember to keep some distance from other guys. The message barely sent before her voice call popped up. I declined. She called again. Declined. A third time. Declined again. Then she finally stopped. A message followed. So you know, wait for me, 4 days at most. I'll come back and explain. Classic. Sophia. I didn't reply. At work, everything continued like nothing happened. I reported to Willow as usual. Sometimes she'd look at me with an expression I couldn't decipher. Soft, complicated, almost human. I didn't bother trying to understand it. Thick skin was my armor. Work was my escape. One evening, I headed toward the exit. The elevator door slid open. And there she was. Good evening, I said, nodding to President Liu. Willow fell into step beside me, her heels clicking softly against the floor. You didn't drive again today? I asked. I did, she replied. Then, almost shyly, I just wanted to talk to you. George, she began, I've been thinking maybe we could, but before the words had landed, a voice cut clean through the air behind me. George. Freya was leaning against my car like she owned it, waving with a grin. You're finally off work. And just like that, Willow's face darkened, the way clouds rolling before a storm. Well, I said politely, we'll be heading out then. I opened the passenger door for Freya, circled back to give Willow a small nod, then closed myself into the driver's seat. Seat belt clicked, and I drove off, leaving her standing there in the quiet. At the red light, Freya finally turned to me. Why didn't you tell me you moved? Why are you even here? I shot back, but instead of answering, she pressed on. You moved out, didn't you? Yeah. Why didn't you tell me? I glanced over. Her red lips curled into that same dangerous make, the kind that smelled like trouble wrapped in perfume. I told you last time. I said, we shouldn't see each other again. Her smile twitched. Right. I forgot. Set a reminder. I replied, have it tell you every day. She frowned. Do you really have to be that serious? Yes, I said. I do. She fell quiet, voice softening. What if I said, that guy and I weren't actually together? Doesn't matter, I said, eyes straight ahead. I'm going on a blind date. After I dropped her off, I didn't even say goodbye, just hit the gas and left. Saturday morning, I walked into the cafe, and my blind date was already there. Light makeup, delicate features, calm smile. My mom did her homework. She was kind, thoughtful, easy to talk to. No games, no hidden edges. Just real. And just as we were wrapping up, ready to call it a genuinely good morning, a shadow fell across our table. Well, a familiar voice said, what a coincidence. Willow. She gave a small wave, like she actually believed this was casual. I didn't expect to run into you here. I froze. My date froze. Willow smiled politely, too politely. Mind if I join you? Willow, I said, rubbing my temples, I'm on a date. I heard you two were almost finished. She answered, face unreadable. My date blinked. And you are? My boss, I said. Willow nodded, perfectly at ease, making no effort to leave. My date forced a polite smile, already packing her bag. Well, Mr. Wang, I'll message you. I didn't stop her. Willow slid into the empty seat beside me like it belonged to her. I heard the coffee's good here, she said. It's not, I replied. People just come here for photos. Oh, she murmured. Then I must have remembered wrong. I stared at her, speechless. Finally, I stood and grabbed my jacket. I'm leaving. But she caught my sleeve, and when her wrist turned, I saw it, a bracelet I recognized instantly. The one I'd given her once, except different. Remade, recreated, remade version. I asked quietly. She gave a small eyes softening. George, I've been thinking these past few days. Her voice cracked just slightly. I still don't really know what love is. But that day, when I saw you bring that woman home, something in my chest tightened. It hurt, and I didn't understand why. Her eyes lifted to mine, clouded, unsure, almost vulnerable. Is that love? Gone was the distant, unshakable boss. Sitting in front of me was a woman who suddenly had no idea how to navigate her own heart. No, I said quietly. That's not love. That's obsession. She froze. I've been thinking about the things I said to you, she whispered. They were cool. I regret them. It makes me feel awful. Is that love? No, I answered. That's just your conscience finally learning how to feel. Her eyes reddened. I don't want things to end between us. That's habit, I said. I want more, she insisted. I want to go on dates with you. That just means your personal life is too empty. She frowned, stubborn. I don't think that woman is good enough for you. That's arrogance. She hesitated. Then the truth slipped out, small and fragile. You live like a zombie, she said softly. Dead-end salary, tiny apartment, work or games, nothing else. No dreams, no fire. Watching you live like that hurts me. How can someone live so miserably? I felt something snap inside me. That's because you always look down on me. I shot back. But then, I like you, she said, and I looked her right in the eyes. That's delusion. Willow blinked, her eyes locking on mine, cold as ice, and then, almost without warning, the tears came. Unstoppable, raw, pouring down her face. My chest tightened, goosebumps prickling along my arms. Hey, don't cry like that with a blank face, I stammered. I didn't even do anything to you, I added, helpless. You didn't, she choked out, voice hoarse, broken, stripped of all that icy armor. But when we argue, my chest just hurts. Her gaze trembled as it met mine. I like you, she whispered, and then, trembling almost desperately, I love you. I stayed silent. George. Her voice softened, then suddenly she threw herself into my arms, burying her face in my neck. Her tears soaked through my shirt, sending a shiver down my spine. I love you, she murmured again, and it landed like a bolt I hadn't expected. For the first time, I understood what love might feel like, that strange, burning ache, uninvited yet undeniable. She pulled back slightly, realization dawning in her voice, fragile and trembling. So that means you don't love me, I said quietly. Her mind was racing, and I realized then, holy shit, this woman's thoughts ran deep, untamed. She could not, under any circumstances, be kept around. When she finally stopped crying, Willow sat up, red-rimmed eyes, pale skin, still trembling from the sobs. She looked fragile, pitiful, almost breakable. I want to go to your place, she said softly, pleading, her voice almost like a whisper of a child begging. A chill ran down my spine, a memory flickering back to my middle school homeroom teacher, the same gentle smile hiding a strictness that could leave you writing 3,000 words of self-critique. That's probably not a good idea, I mumbled. I just want to rest a little, she sniffled. I look so ugly like this. Her face crumpled again, tears threatening to fall. It was terrifying, the way she looked so small and vulnerable. Okay, fine, I said quickly, surrendering. Let's go. Once home, Willow went to the bathroom, washed her face, and touched up her makeup. Then she came back, dropping herself into my arms as if she'd finally found a place to be safe. This is not good, I muttered to myself. Do we really know each other? I'd lived here alone for years, and yet the old saying lingered in my mind. Good things do not go out, bad things spread 1,000 miles. Maybe I was destined to live quietly, watch the world from a tiny apartment, carry it all in my heart. She pouted. You lied to me. I shut my mouth, reaching my limit. Standing, I said, I'm going downstairs to get a package. I'll come with you, she said immediately. No, 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 I replied, glancing at her still red eyes. You rest a bit more. I backed out quickly and shut the door behind me. George left. Willow stayed frozen on the couch, waiting. Half an hour passed. He didn't return. Liar, she thought, face expressionless. He's doing this on purpose. She wandered around the apartment, glancing at the small mess. Maybe he should hire a housekeeper. But the space was too small anyway. No, he needed a mansion, she decided, something to match the car she had given him. A villa near the company, bright and spacious. Perfect for two. Their love nest. She nodded to herself, feeling oddly pleased. The more she looked around, the more this little apartment annoyed her. A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Forgot his keys, she thought. Careless. She'd install a fingerprint lock when they moved. That would fix it. As she walked to the door, her reflection caught in the entryway mirror. She paused. Her figure looked good. She remembered the way George's eyes lingered on her that night. He does like me. She realized, a small lightness rising in her chest. With deliberate care, she tugged her neckline lower, just enough, and called out in a soft, lilting tone, Forgot your keys? And with that, she opened the door, stepping toward the world she was slowly learning to claim again. Meanwhile, miles away, Sophia compressed 3 days of tasks into a day and a half, catching the earliest train back. Thoughts of George gnawed at her, leaving her uneasy, restless. 4 years of college had barely prepared her for this absence. And now, even as she remembered Makoto, she knew it wasn't the same. George's distance left a hollow ache. She chose to live with it. Quietly, tears held close. Until the day Makoto returned, she waited, still unsure what the heart wanted most. When they parted, Makoto's words hit like ice. I'm not coming to see you again. Sophia froze, her voice barely a whisper. Why? Did I do something wrong? Makoto shook his head slowly. No, but you act all fake. His eyes, weary and unblinking, met hers. I don't even feel like you're my girlfriend. You're like a perfect little white lotus, untouchable, flawless. When I'm abroad, you never seem sad or lonely or scared. When I travel all this way to see you, there's no joy, no excitement, not even a trace of feeling. Even when we're intimate, you look disgusted, like you're being forced. It's boring, really boring. He sighed, voice low. Sophia, do you even know what fear feels like? Waiting at the airport, counting the minutes until I arrive. If I broke up with you, would it even hurt? You wouldn't. And just like that, quiet and soft, he said, Let's end it here. Makoto was right. Sophia felt nothing. No clinging, no shouting, no tears, only a strange, hollow calm. Love, at least the way the world expected it, didn't seem to live in her heart. She had always been steady, reserved, unshaken. After the breakup, her thoughts wandered to George. 4 years apart, and yet, seeing him again, worn down and pale, made something flutter inside her chest, a fragile spark of joy, the quiet thrill of reclaiming something lost. Everything could have been simple, clean, until Makoto returned. She felt a twinge of guilt, a desire to help him through his low point before moving on with a clear conscience. But George, he didn't make it easy. Messages went unanswered. Her inquiries were ignored. Every silence a sharp sting. She had to ask around, reach out to his family, track down his new address. Determined, she got off the train with vegetables and meat in hand, ready to cook for him. Love, she believed, could be won through effort, care, and persistence. She arrived at his door in a rush, forgetting her makeup, her heart hammering. Would he see her as she was? Bare-faced, unpolished, maybe not good enough anymore. And then the door opened. A soft, lilting voice called out, Forgot your keys? Their eyes met, and there she was, a vision of deliberate seduction, her half-open collar, the swell at her chest impossible to ignore. Every movement, every glance, screamed confidence, arrogance, power. Sophia's chest tightened, stomach twisting with a sour mix of disgust and fury. Disgusting. Absolutely vile. She felt it prick at her eyes like a warning. She couldn't look away, yet she hated it. Willow's smile faltered, just for a moment, a flicker of amusement or disdain. Sophia couldn't tell. Her heart thudded, cold and fast. Why the hell is this woman staring at me like that? She thought, teeth gritting. And meanwhile, I walked around the apartment complex 3 times before finally heading upstairs, package in hand. Keys fumbled, hands busy, mind elsewhere, until a shadow slipped behind me. Warm, sticky, dangerous. She looped her arms around my neck. Her breath, sweet and suffocating, brushed my skin like a snake curling in for comfort and conquest. I froze. "How was your blind date?" she whispered. "It's over," I said flatly. She smiled that practiced, sultry smile, one that could make the world stop for a second. "Perfect. We can pick up where we left off." Her eyes flicked around the hallway, calculating, playful. Then she winked. "Right here's fine." I sighed. "You really have no shame, do you?" Her lips curved as if to answer, but instead she said softly, almost hurt, "I never claimed to be a virtuous woman anyway." "So," she murmured, voice rolling like honey and smoke, "why don't we just keep going? I miss you. Every inch of my body misses you. George," her voice trembled, a mix of obsession, seduction, and a quiet, desperate plea. "Only you can satisfy me. You made me like this." I straightened. No, not noble, not heroic, just careful. Willow was in my apartment, and if the two of them collided, I'd be done for. She tilted her head, sweet and venomous all at once. "Why not? You found a new friend already?" "That's none of your business," I snapped. But she ignored me, cooing softly. "That fast? Is she prettier than me?" Damn it! The irritation, the sharp, old sting I hadn't felt in years, surged back. And just as I was about to explode, the door opened. There they were, Willow and Sophia, one to the left, one to the right, both staring at me, faces thunderous, storming the calm. "Ah!" Freya leaned lazily against my shoulder, a mocking smirk playing on her lips. "She's not prettier than me anyway." The tension in the living room was thick enough to cut. Willow stood by the window, rigid, her posture screaming keep away. Sophia sat primly, forcing a polite, careful smile. "I'm George's sister," she said softly. And just like that, the air was charged, impossible, electric, and heavy with everything left unsaid. Willow answered evenly, almost like a calm stream. "I'm his boss." Meanwhile, Freya lounged on the couch like a cat with no bones, stretching out and smiling that sly, teasing smile. "I'm George's." She paused, winked, and finished. "Friend." I stood in the kitchen, washing a glass, pretending none of this was happening, letting the sound of running water fill the silence. Sophia appeared beside me, carrying fruit, moving with quiet determination. She set the basket down, tilting her head, worry etched in her voice. "Brother, that female boss of yours." I blinked. "Can't you tell?" She frowned, thinking, then whispered, almost conspiratorially, "You're such a straight man. Can't you see she's a pretentious coquette? All proper on the outside, manipulative and scheming inside." When I opened the door, she wasn't even dressed properly. I almost dropped the glass in my hand. "Brother, you really have zero ability to identify a pretentious coquette." She wrinkled her nose, continuing her judgment. "And that friend of yours, she's weird too. Cheap-looking, no sense of self-respect, messy private life. Don't see her again." I almost laughed aloud. Sophia shook her head seriously, scolding me. "Why don't you get it, brother? Women out there are dirty." I turned to her, eyes meeting hers. "What about you?" Her gaze froze, light-colored eyes still as glass over a frozen lake. She stammered softly, a blush creeping across her porcelain cheeks. She turned away, voice barely audible. I can stay with you for the rest of my life." So pure, so innocent. Too bad I stopped being the pure love hero a long time ago. I teased lightly, You keep calling me brother. You know sibling marriage is illegal. Right. Then, more sharply, pretentious coquette. Sophia froze, eyes darting toward the doorway where Willow now stood. Irritation flickered across her face, but she tried to maintain a soft, gentle smile. George and I aren't actually related, she said softly. It's just, we grew up together. Childhood sweethearts for over 20 years. No one can replace that. Willow's eyes scanned her up and down, expression faint, words flat and cutting. 20 years and you still aren't together? That just means it's not attracted to you. Even in another 20 years, you won't have a chance. Sophia's temper finally flared. What do you know? She snapped. And then, out of nowhere, Freya's syrupy voice floated in, light as honey. How scary Tilda's sister Sophia's. Not like me. I only know how to care for brother. Sophia's breath caught, flustered and furious. Willow rolled her eyes, muttering. So much drama, as if the entire room hadn't already descended into chaos. Might as well sip it like hot tea, she seemed to think. The three of them took their positions in the living room, each staking out their territory, pointedly ignoring one another. I wanted to kick them all out. It was my weekend. I should have been resting, gaming, not wrangling this circus. Freya glanced at me, faintly smiling. You look like you really need a break. She stretched lazily, stood, and said, Then I'll go first, Tilda, if you miss me. Text me, Tilda. She left so fast it startled me. I hadn't expected her to be the first. Sophia followed, face pale, lips pressed in a thin line, brows slightly furrowed, but she still spoke softly. Then I'll go, too. I left the vegetables in the fridge. The fruit's washed. Remember to eat it. Her gaze flicked briefly to Willow, who didn't even acknowledge her, until a moment later, when she murmured a cool, M.M. Sophia's face darkened further. Then Willow added lightly, I'll be leaving, too. Sophia's tension eased, just a little, as she got up and walked toward the door. Willow lingered, dragging her feet, and I followed to see her out. Sophia hadn't even closed the door behind her. And then, suddenly, Willow stopped. She turned abruptly and threw herself into my arms. Lifting her head, she pressed a feather-like kiss to my chin. I looked down, meeting her usual cold, proud expression, but her eyes betrayed the faintest trace of a smile. Nothing you want to say to me? She asked. I shook my head. Sorry, I don't owe you an explanation. The word seemed to sting her. Her lips pressed together, frown forming. You really have no heart, George. I sighed. Just go. Wait. She leaned closer, breath warm and close against mine, and whispered softly, Miss me? Don't miss them, I muttered. She stood on her toes, soft lips brushing mine, and just past Willow's shoulder. I saw Sophia standing in the doorway again. I honestly didn't care no more. Life was too short to drown in emotional quicksand. Happiness, that was the only real currency. And all I wanted was a freedom to live how I wanted, when I wanted. Before I could read the look on her face, Sophia turned away and walked off again, her footsteps soft but heavy with everything unsaid. Outside, under the shade of a tree, Freya stared up at my apartment window, restless, agitated. She'd already played the role of the patient, understanding woman. So why were those two still upstairs? Her lips curled. Shameless. After Willow left, I spent the whole afternoon gaming. Pure peace. Later I cooked dinner. Simple dishes, but each better than the last. After a warm shower, humming under my breath, I felt good for once. Then I checked my phone. A message from Freya. Your place is too messy. I booked a housekeeping service. They'll be there soon. I blinked at the screen, sent back a single question mark. No response. A knock sounded. I opened the door to find a maid smiling casually, and Freya's voice drifting through the hallway like warm honey. Special offer. Includes washing machine repair service Tilda. She appeared behind the maid, her arm and eyes curved in that dangerous, playful smile. You don't look professional, I said. Get a replacement. She pouted, pushing her way in with a soft, teasing. Don't be like that, Tilda, I sighed and stepped aside. You're shameless. Freya stepped inside like she owned the air itself. She kicked off her shoes, shrugged off her coat, revealing an outfit clearly chosen to provoke. It was sweetness pretending to be innocence, but no innocence at all. I didn't stop her, just watched from the couch, quiet, resigned. Freya had that kind of beauty, soft, balanced, sculpted with intention. She moved toward me, confidence curled into every line of her body. But when she reached me, I put a hand on her waist and said, "Stop." She froze instantly, obedience as natural to her as breathing. "What's the rush?" I asked. She lowered her eyes, voice soft. "Your love life's too crowded. Go take a shower." Her eyes lit up like I'd thrown her a lifeline. Steam, warmth, the faint scent of body wash mixing with clean cotton. The atmosphere felt thick, almost dreamlike. Freya's hair was tied up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "George," she whispered, voice trembling at the edges. "About that guy, I can explain. I just wanted to make you. It doesn't matter." I cut in. Her gaze dimmed instantly. She lowered her head, any explanation evaporating into silence. Everything around us faded into one overwhelming intensity. I exhaled sharply, grounding myself, and lifted her face by her hair. She looked up willingly, almost too willingly, controlled, but fragile. "Have some shame," I said quietly. "Good girls don't make sounds like that." Freya met my eyes and actually smiled, a small, flushed, trembling smile. "Look at me now," she whispered. "Do I still look like a good girl?" Then softer. "As long as I can stay by your side, I don't care how shameless I am." I didn't know what to say. "George," she breathed. "Say something, please." I tried to lighten the moment, quoting something cliché. "You're special. You're not like other girls. You." Her eyes brightened, waiting for the rest. "I forgot," I said dryly. "Too long. Couldn't memorize it." She stared up at me, dazed, tears glimmering but refusing to fall. "So many people have said those words to me," she whispered. "But when you say them, it feels real." I had no answer. "Why are you saying all this? You like me?" She shook her head slowly. "No, it's not love." Her voice dropped, trembling. "It's addiction. I can't live without you." She pressed a hand to her chest. "When I leave you, it feels like something starts rotting here." I sighed. "Freya, what do you actually want?" She lifted her face, her fingers hovering a breath away from touching me, trembling with the restraint of someone standing at the edge of a cliff. "George." She whispered my name like a prayer coming undone. "I want to be whatever keeps me near you. You won't love me. You'll never like me. And what I did to hurt you can't be undone." She smiled, a pale, sorrowful expression, beauty stretched thin by desperation. "So I can only be your." Her voice broke. Her eyes shone, glassy, pleading, devoted in a way that was both heartbreaking and frightening. Possessive, sorrowful, unraveling. I sighed, almost amused by the absurdity of it all. Freya whispered that as long as I gave her even a sliver of attention, that would be enough. I muttered something about leashes being a hassle. She only smiled, soft, trembling, determined. "The ones who need leashes," she said, "are the ones who aren't obedient." Then she leaned in, touched her lips, and whispered each word like a vow. "I'll bite the leash myself and follow you every step of the way." The next morning, she was already gone. A note sat by the bed, band rehearsal. I tossed it into the trash. Keeping the place clean was easier when I didn't rely on anyone else. I didn't bother with breakfast. After washing up, I opened the door and nearly collided with someone standing outside. Sophia, a thermos lunchbox in her hands. Quiet, still, slim as a shadow. Our eyes met. No smile, just a cool, distant expression. My phone buzzed. A message from Freya. "Awake yet? I ran into your little sister downstairs. When I left Tilda, I even said hi to her." I stared at the screen. Little sister. Someone sure knew how to flatter herself. I locked my phone and stepped aside. "Come in." Sophia followed me inside silently. She set the thermos on the table, opened it, checked the temperature, and said in a soft, controlled voice, "It's still hot. Eat." I started eating while she moved around the apartment with mechanical precision, taking the laundry basket, sorting clothes, running the washing machine, washing others by hand. "Where's the detergent?" she asked flatly. "Cabinet under the sink." She bent down, pulled it out, frowned. "This one isn't good. Underwear and outerwear need different detergents." "A beat. I'll bring the right ones next time." I mumbled something with my mouth full. She rolled up her sleeves and kept washing. When I finished eating, I looked up at her. Somehow, without meaning to, I kept staring. Her back was to me, but the mirror caught her face, tired, drawn, strands of hair slipping loose, eyes lowered. Her lashes cast faint shadows beneath the dark circles under her eyes. Expression calm, expression empty. Her eyelashes fluttered when she realized I was watching. Her hands paused for half a second, then kept moving. Her lips tightened. She looked exactly like I once did, years ago, when I decided being cold and emotionless was the only way to survive disappointment. I looked away and went to the living room to play games. Sophia finished the laundry, then started tidying the living room, circling the space over and over, orbiting around me like she needed me to know she hadn't left. I lost another match in the game, put my phone down, stared again. She passed by twice more, and finally, as if sensing my gaze, she tried to pull on her usual calm expression, but it only looked stiff, almost painful. "Brother," she said softly, "why don't you move back to where we used to live?" "No, it's fine like this." She hesitated, choosing her word with extreme care. "Yesterday, those two women, they were bothering you, weren't they? I mean, maybe they tried to seduce you, or maybe—" "No," I cut in. Sophia froze. "No one bothered me. No one seduced me," I said. "I'm the one who went after them. I'm a real bastard." The color drained from her face. She shook her head, voice barely holding together. "No, that's not true. You were just confused." "Yes, confused. They must have deceived you." She was building a story to protect herself from the truth, a fortress of denial. So I destroyed it. "I've slept with both of them," I said. Sophia went completely still. Her eyes emptied out, as though everything inside her had cracked at once. After a long moment, she whispered, trembling, "No, that's not true. Please, please tell me it was just a mistake, that it was only a moment of weakness." "Yeah, it was impulsive," I said. "But what does that have to do with being a mistake?" I met her eyes, tired of dancing around the truth. "You're acting like you're my girlfriend and I cheated on you." Her breath caught. The last of her calm shattered. "If you've got something to say," I told her quietly, "then say it directly." She stood there frozen, everything she had tried to suppress spilling out at once. Her eyes shone red, trembling with a mix of exhaustion, resentment, and pain. She choked out the words, voice thick with tears. "Why isn't it me?" I froze, watching her break apart. She sobbed harder, the quiet desperation of a question echoing in the room. "Why them? Why can they? But not me. Why can't it be me?" I sighed softly, letting the words come steady and calm. "It can." Sophia's gaze caught mine, stunned, like she couldn't quite believe it. Later, in the bedroom, after a quiet, lingering kiss, Sophia lay back on the bed, light-headed, shy, overwhelmed. She was inexperienced, tentative, responding gently and softly, her breathing quickening, cheeks flushed in a way that was almost painful to watch, innocence wrapped in vulnerability. She didn't know how to breathe between the kisses, gasping for air. When we finally pulled apart, eyes misty with a soft autumn light spilling through the window, trembling fingers reached for buttons she didn't know how to undo with confidence. I sat up, steady, firm. "I won't take responsibility for you," I said, looking straight into her amber eyes. She paused, biting her lip lightly, her pupils pale and vulnerable. I'm sure," she murmured. I stared for a long moment before shaking my head. "Forget it." I turned away. "Put your clothes back on. I don't enjoy forcing anyone." "No," she blurted, voice trembling, startled and afraid. I froze. Sophia, always so composed, so gentle, had finally lost control. I touched the doorknob, ready to walk out, And yet she lunged, arms wrapping tightly around me, warm breath against my back, her voice cracking with raw desperation. I didn't mean no. I didn't mean that. George, please, I asked softly. Then what do you mean? I'm scared, she whispered, pressing her head lightly to my shoulder. I'm afraid you'll think I'm not good enough, that I'm not like them. The white lotus mask she always wore, pristine and perfect, finally shattered, leaving nothing but fragile honesty behind. I just wanted you to see me at my best, she murmured. I turned to her. Her red-rimmed eyes, wet lashes like delicate butterfly wings caught in rain, looked up at me, a little heartbreaking, a little beautiful. I cupped her face and kissed her again. She responded gently, obediently, every breath tangled with mine. Sophia, always reserved, always careful, bit her lips silently, eyes wide, pleading, lost, wordless. And I wasn't kind. I teased. I pushed, just enough to make her tremble, to make her voice break into soft, broken whimpers, until, finally, utterly defeated, she whispered, "Brother, stop playing." Afterward, I fell asleep almost immediately. Sophia curled into me, her head resting in the crook of my arm. Her breath was still shaky, her voice soft and hoarse. I heard from Auntie that you went on a blind date, she said quietly. How did it go? Without opening my eyes, I answered, given that we're lying in the same bed right now, probably not great. She laughed, soft and bitter. After a pause, a whisper, what if we got married? I flinched slightly, Makoto's face flashing unbidden. Sorry, I said. I've decided not to get married at all. Her silence stretched for long moments, until finally, muffled, she said, At least, that means they don't have a chance either, right? So, just let me stay by your side. I replied simply, no one turns down a benefit that delivers itself. She didn't speak for a while, too smart not to understand. Finally, softly, if the price of staying by your side is enduring the pain of knowing there will never be an ending, the jealousy of watching others get close to you, and the fear of never being loved back, her voice trembled, breaking through the quiet. Then, I accept it. The room stayed silent long after. I had fallen asleep. Sophia's lashes trembled with quiet disappointment as she remembered something Makoto once asked her. Are you afraid? Yes. Afraid that he belonged to someone else, that even the fragile privilege of being his little sister would slip from her grasp. Do you get impatient waiting for him? Yes. Every minute, every second on the train had been torture, aching to see him sooner. Do you get jealous? More than anything. Seeing him with that pretentious coquette, her subtle marks left behind. It burned like fire, scorching her chest and gut. Does it hurt? The thought of losing him forever, erasing every trace of him from her life, agony beyond words. Regret, anxiety, restlessness, emotions she'd never known with Makoto, all came crashing down at once. Overwhelming, inescapable, because love always carries sorrow, because love always carries fear. She buried herself closer to him. As long as he let her stay, as long as she could still touch him, she could endure every shred of the fear and pain born of love. Monday arrived. Back at work, I finished my report for Willow U. As always, she was professional, precise, efficient, cold, unreadable. Then, unexpectedly, she said, I ordered a dress. Can you come with me to try it on later? I nodded, not thinking much. At the boutique, she stepped out wearing a wedding dress. Serious, poised, watching me intently. Does it suit me? It finally clicked. I stammered, yeah, it suits you. Her gaze darkened slightly. You're being perfunctory. I licked my lips, stiff, tense, as if the world had suddenly turned into a firing squad. President Liu, I just think, I'm not really qualified to help you try on a wedding dress, I said, voice tight. She gave a short, amused hum, that soft, knowing sound that made me freeze. Look at you, so scared. I'm just trying it on. That's all. Don't overthink it. Willow spun lightly in front of the mirror, the fabric flowing like liquid, and then asked again, casual, almost teasing. Is it pretty? Pretty. No. Don't say that. My brain short-circuited, left and right arguing like a war had broken out inside my skull. Trap. Definitely a trap. She caught my shifting expression and, suddenly, let out a soft, quiet laugh, like spring snow melting on a warm window. It stunned me. Just a fleeting sound, delicate and impossible to ignore. She pressed her lips together and repeated, matter of fact, I just wanted you to see what I look like in a wedding dress. Nothing else. I exhaled, relief washing over me. It's beautiful. You could be on the poster for the store. A faint smile curved her lips, almost imperceptible. She turned to step into the fitting room, but glanced back casually, as if dropping a bomb. Are you coming to my place tonight? My mind froze. I'd planned a game with friends. She leaned in, voice light, teasing. Tonight I'll be wearing this. I replied instantly. All right. Moment she stepped out of the boutique, I was at her side, opening the car door like some knight in a modern-day armor. I leaned forward to fasten her seatbelt before she could, a small, silent act of control and care. The drive was quiet at first. I focused on the road. Willow broke the silence eventually, soft and distant. I added her friend and my sister on WeChat, cold sweat prickling down my back. And then, I asked cautiously. Willow said nothing. Profile sharp, outlined by fading sunlight. My irritation simmered. This same kind of guilt. I remembered it from middle school, from my homeroom teacher. But I had graduated years ago. I've already done what I've done. So what? Want to condemn me for being a playboy? Or call me a scumbag? I glanced at her bracelet, tone firm. I don't owe you anything. Unexpectedly, she laughed softly, a quiet hum, almost teasing. You don't, she said. After a pause, softer, I just wanted to see the real you, all of you. That hit, somewhere deep. I asked, half in disbelief, are you out of your mind? She nodded, faintly, a little. Then seriously, having a lot of people like you just means I have good taste. I snorted. It's not just liking. I've slept with them too. She nodded again, calm, unshaken. Then, that also means you've got great stamina. I had nothing. Her face remained composed, ice queen calm, but the air between us softened, snow melting into cotton. Did some spirit possess you or something? I asked. No, she said quietly. I just figured things out. I love you. Her eyes lowered. Her next words spilled quietly, tender, deliberate. So I want to treat you well. That's my choice. If others treat you well, that's theirs. And if all of this makes you happy, then that makes me happy too. The car rolled to a stop. I turned to meet her gaze, cold as ever, but something different flickered behind those ice-like eyes. The wedding dress. I really just wanted you to see me in it once. I don't expect anything else. That was my wish. It's enough. I looked at her long, steady, then said simply, no. Watching her process, it felt like witnessing a baby become a philosopher overnight. Beginner in love skipping straight to master of obsession. Willow brushed her hair aside, leaned close, and pressed a soft kiss to my lips. No argument, no insistence, just a quiet, firm, yes? Love is strange. You said it yourself. Love is letting go, selfless. And yet, in that moment, she whispered, eyes clear, I would rather ask for nothing, as long as I can stay by your side. I smirked. Is my side a parking lot? Everyone wants to park. She bent her eyes, laughing softly. Let me give you an option, yes or no. I replied, casual, oh. Saturday arrived, and somehow my apartment had become alive, chaotic. 4 people crammed into the living room playing cards, loser getting a sticky note slapped on the face. Simple rules, yet the tension, the subtle competitiveness, made the room electric. After a few rounds, Sophia, sweet and precise, pinned a note on Willow's forehead. Willow didn't flinch. Just luck, she said coolly. Let's see if you're still smiling next round. Freya, lounging beside me, slipped me a card under the table and whispered, teasing, You two are so fierce. Who knew a little game could turn into a cat fight? I yawned, checked the time, and decided I'd had enough. Plans tomorrow meant sleep was priority. I crawled into my room, the faint hum of their voices lingering outside, arguing over rules, dice rolls, the chaos of the night fading as I drifted off. Half dreaming, half awake, I felt a shift. The door opened quietly. A soft, warm body slid into my arms, mattress dipping beneath the weight. Gentle breathing. Steady, like a lullaby, a faint sweet scent lingering. Then a kiss brushed my lips, tentative, tender. Her voice trembled against my ear. I love you. I murmured back. Thanks. I love myself too.